so older might be 15 to 3,000, depending on the handler, depending on the dog. I've known people who have sold dogs for $25,000, $30,000. I believe there was, might be making this up. I believe there was a dog that sold at Red Bluff that was a cattle dog for $50,000 a couple years ago. Maybe. I could be adding a couple numbers to that, but it was as that it was. So it very much depends. I like training my own dogs, so I always get mine on the cheap, and then put 10 times more work into it. So it just depends on what your time and ability and level are. Any other questions? So out here right now we have Colleen with Ethel. Ethel is a Rosie daughter. She is about 4 years old. So we start working these dogs when they're about 8 to 12 months old. Around 4 years old, they should have all of the foundation work, all the basics down. They should know their commands, they should be listening, they should kind of know the job, and what you're trying to accomplish, and be a really good partner. If at 4 years old you have a dog that's not wanting to work, not wanting to do anything, doesn't want to work with you, then you kind of have an idea at that point what kind of dog you're going to have for the rest of its life. Until then, there's always things that you can do and change and try and to get that dog where you want it to be. After 4 years old, we're still working. We're still always learning, training, improving, doing better. But you kind of have an idea of what you're working with. Yeah, so if we took some random border collie and just threw it in here for the first time, would it have a natural inclination to work? And so it depends. I would say there's a higher probability that the dog would work than it would not work. Because border collies are bred to have those instincts in them. And so, I know people who have gotten rescue dogs, and they make amazing working dogs. But the idea behind competing, right, is you want to do well when you're competing, and so you want to know what instincts the parents give and what instincts you're working with. So, for example, I have a dog that is extremely sensitive, which on one hand works really well for me because if I say no, she says yes, ma'am. And so that's makes my life 10 times easier. But if someone drops something on the floor, she's going, "Oh God, it's a bomb! We're all gonna die." So she's a little dramatic, and that was just how she was born, and that's how her dad was, and that's something that you've seen in the line. So that's just absolutely instinct. So it's something that So we want to see that when we're picking out a puppy. We want to see the instincts. We want to see the behavior, because it gives us an idea of what we're working with. But Border Collie as a breed is a working dog. And so more often than not, if you put them on livestock, they will work. How they work is going to be a little... Go find out. Yes. Lie down. Lie down. Okay, so how do we get verbal commands when the dogs are really far away or it's really loud? So you'll see some of our handlers will have whistles.